Okay, so yesterday we were discussing about the LO extraction. Okay, and what are the steps we have done? Just I'll quickly this one. So in LO extraction, the first step is we need to log on to RSFI code. Okay, before that we should know the complete data flow. What is my info queue? What is my data source? Right. So where we are loading the data, everything we should know. Okay. Then you start with the activating of the data source. So I'll go log on to RSA5 T code and activate your data source. Log on to RSA5 T code and activate the data source. Okay. Then next step is go to we need to fill up the setup tables and delete the setup tables. This is only just to make sure that we don't load any duplicate record. We don't load any duplicate record. That is nothing but how do we do that? First we delete the setup tables from LBWGT code. LBWGT code. And then we fill up the setup tables. How do we do that? OLI star BW. OLI star BW. Okay. In the place of star, you have the application numbers, component numbers. If you know that, that's fine. Otherwise, yesterday I have given you the this thing. What do you say? Path. Okay. Path. Then once you fill up the setup tables, then go check in RSA3 whether how many records we have in your data source or not. Okay, those are the steps that we will be doing initially. Then log on to LBWET code. Log on to LBWET code. Okay, select your data source, drill down, and first step is maintain extract structure. Maintain extract structure. What we are going to do over there in maintain extract structure, we get the selection criteria and the pool. Selection criteria consists of the fields which are available in the data source. Selection criteria consists of the fields which are available in the data source. And pool consists of all the fields what all we have in the base tables of the particular data source. Okay, data source is nothing but again getting the data. Data is coming from the fields. Fields are nothing but logically grouping in the tables. So ultimately tables, each and every table will be there and that table will be specific to the particular area, like your sales header data, sales item data, deliveries data, okay, invoicing data separately, like that. Okay, so pool consists of all the fields which are available in the table. Okay, based on our requirement we can move the fields from pool to selection criteria and the same fields can be moved back to pool again. Okay, but we cannot change the structure of the standard objects. Then maintain data source. The fields what you have selected or maintained in the selection criteria, for those fields we have four options: selection, hide, inversion and fields only. Selection, if you select this option for a field, in the BW side we can load selective data load in the info package. Okay, if we select the field, the selection option in the BW system, in the info package, we can load selective data load. Then hide. If you don't want to transfer the data to my BW system, then we will hide that field. The particular field will not be transferred to my BW system. Inversion. It is used for the reverse posting of the records. It is used for the reverse posting of the records. Fields only. It acts as an indicator which indicates the field has been added newly or enhanced to the data source. Okay, once you maintain these options based on your business requirement, then activate your data source. These are the steps that we have to follow in SAP ECC system. Then now log on to BW system. So what are the steps we have to do here? We'll see now. Any doubts or any questions over here?
Clear, sir.
Okay, fine. Okay, now log on to BW system. Okay, first step is replicate data source. That is the first step that we have to do it in the BW system. How do we do that? RSA1 modeling source system. What is my source system here?
2 LIS 13, 2 LIS
Source system.
underscore.
Source system. I'm not talking about the data source. I'm talking about source system.
Header. No.
ECC6. ECC system, right? ECC system is my source system, ERP,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
right? So select your source system, double click on that. Select your source system, double click on that. Okay. Then what is my data source? 2LIS underscore 13 underscore VDHDR, right? VDHDR. Which is that module? SD. Okay. I can select here. Okay. VDHDR, it is already available here. Okay. Initially, sometimes if you're working for, because already, as I said, this is training system, so many clients already, many users will be working on this. So that is the reason you can find it over here. But in a real-time environment, if you're working for the first time, you will not see this data source here. You will not see this data source over here. Okay, fine. So let me delete all those things just to make sure that. Okay. Okay, fine. See, now sometimes you will see like this. So come back. Delete. Okay, fine. See, now this is my data source. Initially, you will not see this. Okay, so what you have to do, select your SD, right click, say replicate metadata. Select your data source, right click and say replicate metadata. Okay. And here you get an option. So yes, activate and content version. Activate and content version. Okay. Select this is yes, all data sources and say continue here. What will happen in this case? It will replicate all the data sources what all we have in the SD module. Okay, in SD module we can also do it in the R3 level. If I do it, wait a minute, I'll show you that option also. If I do it in the system level, in system we have SD, MM, PP, HR, FI, all the modules. All the data sources will be replicated. So it will take a lot of time. I don't need all those need to be replicated because it is not necessary for me. What is necessary? Yes, in the SD, the particular data source. But the particular data source will not be seen at the first time when you're working. First time when you're working, you will not able to see your data source under SD module, right? So that's the reason what we do is we select the SD module, right click and say replicate metadata. Replicate metadata. Then what exactly this will be doing? It will replicate the data source. What all? See, here it will show these are all the data sources. Do you want to replicate all these? No, I don't need. So what I do is I'll check this option. If you select, deselect all. Okay. Then what is my data source? 2LIS underscore 13 underscore VDHDR. Right? This one. Yes, this is the data source. And say continue. Now this will replicate only this particular data source 2LIS underscore 13 underscore VDHDR. Okay. Is asking to save it in the request. Yes, I'm saving it. Okay, successfully. Then you will be able to see your data source. Okay, sometimes you will see the data source like this. Not equal to. When you replicate, the data source will be replicated, but it will not be an activate. How can you see? How can you identify that whether the data source is active or not? One is this symbol not equal to will be there, and the second one is here. You can see this, right? One is in gray color and one is in green color. Green color is active, gray color is inactive. Okay, fine. So now I got the data source. If it is inactive, what we do is double click on the data source, go to change mode and activate it. Double click on your data source, go to change mode and activate your data source This will activate your data source. Okay, fine. Let's write down the steps here. Okay, replicate the data source. How do we do this one? RSA1 modeling source system. Select your source system. Okay, double click. It will take you to the data source screen. Then select your data source, double click, and then select your SD module. Because we are working with SD, right click, replicate metadata. Okay, once you replicate your data source, it will be inactive. Okay, data source will be replicated, data source will be inactive. So double click on your data source, activate your data source. Activate the data source. How do we do that? Double click the data source, it will take you to the change mode. Go to the change mode and activate your data source. That is how you activate your data source. Okay, then next. Then next step is what we have to do here. What is my data flow? I have a data source ready. What is my next step?
You have to create a standard info queue, sir.
Yeah, I can install the standard info. I cannot create the. Can I create the standard info queue?
No, sir.
We can create custom info queue, or we have to install it from the business content, right? Fine.
Yes, sir.
So, fine. Let's go and see here. Billing. Okay, this is my billing info queue, data source. So I have to install my billing info queue. Okay, go to your BI content. Go to info cube. Select your info cube. Double click on that. Search for your billing. Okay, billing document. Then not this one actually. Okay, 0SD. That is SD module. Okay, there is a SD module. PURS. Yes. Okay.